Hey, this is Molly, and I'm back with another helpful video to get you clearer on your writing or your creating or anything that you're looking to accomplish. You know, we get into this place of really wanting to get something done, and we can step out of the flow. It can feel stressful. It can feel like a struggle. You can have that inner battle with yourself of why can't I get this finished? Why can't I get this one part of my book written? So I wanted to help you out a bit by giving you some guidance and what I've learned about the difference between force and focus. And I'm going to share with you the difference between these two, as well as give you a tip, a really important tip around how to change it around for yourself, plus share with you the really odd way that I focus. It's weird, but it works. So hey, can't argue with that. So let's start with the difference between force and focus. Typically, force is driven by something external. It can be a deadline or pressure. It can be simply the fact that you need to get something completed and off your plate. It can feel like it's something that you just want done. And usually the force is external. Okay? It's something outside of you, a message outside of you that is putting pressure on you. And because of that, it can create the stress. It can create writer's block. It can create that sense of even, why am I so unproductive with this one section? You could be working on that one part of a book or that one chapter and you can't get anywhere with it, right? It's just repetitively stuck. You can't break through it. But there is a way to turn it around, and I'm going to help you with that in a second. But force is something that typically comes from outside of us. And it can even be internally created. It can be something where you're forcing yourself to do something by an artificial deadline. You want one thing to get done so you can get the next thing done. You can have force on yourself because of the expectation of a linear process, or the expectation that I can't do that until I do this, or this piece has to be in place. You know what I'm saying. You get my drift. The force can be difficult to work with because it creates stress and it creates that pressure. Now, focus, on the other hand, is something that is internal. It's something where mentally you can focus because mentally you are clear. Focus is when we're clear and motivated. And it typically comes from a place of inspiration, a place of, I have to say this, I have to get this out. I know exactly what I want this part of the book to be, or this chapter, or this section. It almost is those times when it writes itself, when it just flows out of you. So we love focus oftentimes because that is when it flows. It's easy, it's inspired, it's clear, you know what it is. But what typically happens in a writing process is that you go back and forth. And you have the periods of focus and you have the periods where you're forcing it. You know, I remember hearing an anecdotal story about Ernest Hemingway, and when he was on a roll, when he was focused, he would write for hours. And he had to drop everything and go write. And it didn't matter what his obligations or his commitments were or what he had told his wife. He was just like, I can't do that right now. I have to go write. Because something internal was inspiring him. It was clear. It was motivated. It was the sense of, I know what it is and I have to get it out. Perhaps, hopefully you know what that's like too. It's that sense that it's coming through and I have to capture it because if I don't, it'll be gone. And then when it's gone, we usually switch into forcing it back, or what was it that I was going to say, or what was that message or that point, or perhaps it was something about your character development or a plot, and it's gone. And then you force it to come back, right? And it creates that stress. So these are two different states of of being mentally clear or mentally stagnant and blocked. I think that we have to be accepting of ourselves when we're here, and yet we want to get here. So let me share with you how to change force into focus. What you have to do is get away from the computer, from the screen, and you have to step back from that one thing you've been focused on. Because oftentimes we can't see the forest for the trees, but you're like staring at that tree and you're like, this tree, I have to figure out this tree. You have to, when you're forcing something and it's not working and you're just creating more stress for yourself, you have to back away from that tree, and you need to do something that allows an opening, that allows more air, like more breathing room, whether figuratively or literally. I think it's important to go to a place in your writing that inspires you and reread what you were previously saying. Reread what you've already written. Look at your notes, look at your outline. And then you back away, back it up, get away from the screen, clear your head, go for a walk. A 10-minute walk does wonders. Go do an errand, go exercise, go do something to alleviate the pressure. But when you're stepping away from it, hopefully not out of frustration, but stepping away from it, remembering more about those other parts of the story or the book that you enjoyed writing about, and being able to look at that one blocked place with new eyes. Okay, so let's say you're stuck on chapter 3 and you've been working on chapter 3 and you can't figure it out and you can't get the flow, you're just stuck. You either want to go back to chapters 1 and 2 and look at what those are about and how far you've come, or if you're like me and you don't write in a linear way, you go into other sections of the book, chapter 5, chapter 9, and you look at what is there. And you use those other parts that are already crafted and already written to help create the bridge. The bridge to where you're stuck. The bridge to where you're blocked. And I think that one of the things that works for me is to not stay staring at a screen. Because the more you can move, get the blood circulating, get fresh air, get away from this place, it's like it frees up something in you. It helps move the energy. It moves the thoughts. It gets things flowing again. So whenever you're forced, the best way to get into a place of focus is to review what you've already done and then step back and go to a place where you can get some fresh air. 10-minute walk. Something simple, something that gets the energy moving again. One thing that I do, again, an odd way that I focus, and I do this regularly. I will take my laptop and put it on the dining room table, the kitchen counter, somewhere central, and I will be thinking about one section of a book or one chapter, one theme, something. And I will be doing stuff around the house. And I'll be coming back to my keyboard regularly to write down my ideas. Because I'm moving around the house, or I'm exercising, or I'm getting stuff done, or I'm straightening, or whatever, all the things you can do around the house. But my mind is clear. My mind is focused on this one part of the book, or the chapter, or the theme. And because of that, because there's mental clarity, I can be really productive with working out a theme or something that I want to say. This happened to me just yesterday, which is why I wanted to do this video. Because I was working on this one section of another book, and I all of a sudden had all these ideas coming through because I was mentally clear. And I didn't want to forget them, and I didn't want them to escape because it's hard to capture them again once they're gone. So I leave my laptop in a central place where I can literally just run to it and type away the thought, the conversation, what needs to be said before it's gone. So it can sound odd that you have to be moving to be focused, but time and again, that has worked for me. So I'm sharing that with the hopes and the intentions that it would be beneficial for you. Because I think that so much of our expectations on ourselves is that we have to know it all when we're at the keyboard. And that's not often the case. You get ideas out in the world when you're hiking, when you're walking, when you're exercising. I think it's actually when we're away from the screen that we can be in a flow. And you want to capture that before it disappears. Also keep in mind, focused writing is different than focused editing. When you're writing, you can be writing away from a computer, away from a screen. You can be writing or putting things together in your head and then come back to the computer and write it down. Whereas focused editing is when you are sitting at the screen and you're going through things line by line, word by word. In fact, focused editing I always do on paper. There's something about editing on paper that is essential. You see more mistakes, you see more errors, you see the story in the book differently. You have to have it printed out on paper and edit it that way. And that's different experience than focused writing. So I hope this has given you a way to get past any stuck places, any writer's block, and also to help get you focused. Basically, you don't have to be at a computer screen to be focused. But you don't want to lose the ideas when you're out and about. So be able to jot them down. Another thing I like to do is on my phone, I'll use one of the dictation services. You can use an app, or even in Gmail, you can hit the dictation button and just speak it out, and that captures the thoughts. It captures the ideas before they're gone. So use your phone as a writing companion to be making sure that you don't miss anything when you're feeling mentally focused. Sometimes I'm mentally focused when I'm driving. Always when I'm exercising or out in the world or hiking or what have you, because you're not overstimulated, right? You're not distracted by other things. So you can change force to focus when you step away and step back, when you remember the other messages or the things you have going on in your book. And I hope this just gives you some new ways to work with those places and that energy, because it's normal, it happens. Like I said, we usually move back and forth between the two, and I think it helps to know that there's tools and ways to move through that so that you don't stay there for too long. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Please check out my other videos, my other tips. I hope that they help you with your writing and your creative habits, and I'll be back soon with another video. Thank you.